Mike Tenay introduces Jeff Jarrett. This is Jeff Jarrett's first time in front of a live crowd since he beat Monty Brown. And this crowd wants absolutely fucking nothing to do with him.
They want to remind him of that fact.
They chant, "You screwed Monty." They drown him out with boring chants multiple times. They go to the extent of chanting, "Get your hat, get your coat, and leave" at him.
Like that, that has to be like a sports reference or something, right? There's no way they came up with that on the spot.
Surely it is, but like, I think in wrestling we talk a lot about the idea of go-away heat, of X-Pac heat.
This is literal go-away heat.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the time it's just like, I don't like a guy, so I'm going to pretend he has go-away heat. Whereas here it is very much that audience in the Impact Zone. The first time Jeff Jarrett comes out to do his same old promo after he beats Monty Brown, that crowd want nothing to do with him. They don't want him to be there. Yeah. They don't want to watch him. They don't care about what he's saying. They don't care about his building for the match against Nash. They don't care about him talking about Nash's knees and all that. They just want him to leave because they wanted Monty to win and Jarrett retained. And it's not the good kind of heat. It's not the kind of heat that makes people want to see Jarrett lose more. It is the kind of heat that, like, we are done with you.
I think it could be that kind of heat if the next match was Monty.
If the build was to Monty eventually beating him, yes.
But it is not. I don't know, like, since they're already planning to, like, take the belt off of him at this point, like, in the upcoming months, I don't know how, like, you don't see this and go, oh, it should be Monty who does that.
We will talk more about that in the Destination X episode, friend.
See, this is what we call a teaser in the biz.
And there has been some Jeff Jarrett discourse recently because he has been objectively a very entertaining part of AEW television.
Garrett, we have broken the formula. We know how it works. Garrett, who is Jeff Jarrett's father?
His father is Jerry.
Which makes him a son of a pro wrestler.
Yeah.
And as we know, the best way to get the son of a pro wrestler over is to make them a giant goofball. Mm-hmm. And what has AEW done?
What have they done, Liam?
They've made him a giant goofball and it works. The formula is there. It is concrete. It works every time.
And you're even seeing it on WWE television with Big Dom Mysterio now.
Exactly, Garrett. Exactly, goddamn you.
He's thoroughly leading into the idea of just being a buffoon, and he is 10 times more enjoyable than trying to be a serious good pro wrestler. And like that is my problem with the Jeff Jarrett discourse is some people were trying to retroactively say he has always been good, which he has always been a good performer. You can never take that away from Jeff. He's always been a good professional wrestling performer.
I think the general understanding that he's always been over-pushed for his position. Yeah. Because if he was always a mid-card guy, he would have excelled as a really excellent mid-card guy.
He has never been a main eventer. He has never been a world champion. Even in TNA, where he's like the only option, you'd be like, you fucked over Raven, you fucked over Monty. There's two other people like that should have won the belt from him, even at this stage in TNA history. So he's not like, he's not even, you can't even make the argument he's the only guy. It's like there's two guys who should have beaten him at this stage already. Like WCW, he obviously was never a top guy, and like he's just, it's not in his DNA. He's not a top guy. He's the Brian Lawler. He should be the Brian Lawler.
I think this is my theory about it, is that through osmosis, second generation wrestlers understand an element of the biz, and that's showing ass. But then they get put in positions of being like Randy Orton.
Yeah.
And if you're not exactly Randy Orton, it doesn't necessarily work, but you have enough of an intrinsic knowledge of the pro wrestling business that you can understand how to be a goofball heel.
And you see it so often. We talked about Dom, we talked about Eric Watts, we talked about like David Flair in WCW, like unbearable when he was trying to be, they didn't really push him ever, but when he was like a serious part of storylines, everyone was like, no thank you. And when he was like a wacky side character with Daphne and Crowbar, everyone was like, hey, he's harmlessly fine.
Brian Lawler here, David Flair here, Eric Watts here, Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah, even Jeff Jarrett in TNA was always at his most entertaining when he was just doing like the double J, double MMA stuff, when he was just being a goofball.
And when we talked about him as like, because like Stone Cold Jeff Jarrett was him like being serious, but he was also being a big goof while he was doing it. And that was his best TNA stuff up until this point.
Yeah, there has been multiple people trying to make some bizarre argument that Jeff Jarrett being bad is some concoction of WWE documentaries. And pal, watch this episode of Impact on January 28th, 2005, where you will see people rejecting Jeff Jarrett as a headline important part of the show is not just a creation of the World Wrestling Entertainment.
So, unless you have like the intrinsic star potential of a Randy Orton or a Charlotte Flair, just be a big dumb goofball because it's in your blood and you'll get it.
I really can't think of another instance of the crowd like breaking the fourth wall themselves to be like, fuck off, just get out. Like, we don't want to see you. Like, there's some like booze rejection, but actively like, just leave. We don't want to watch you right now.
The only ones that like it happens with, I feel like it happens in this company a lot. We'll see it more with like the Russo stuff.
Oh yes, they do chant "fire the Booker" on the television shows. I'll give you that one.
Yeah, this company has it a lot, and like the only other time, like, which is even close, but it is like it's the same amount of vitriol, but positioned in another way, is the Roman Rumble win, where people just left.
Yeah, the other one that came to mind was Jeff Hardy Ring of Honor.
Yes, like these are, and that one was, I don't know, that one's, it feels a little less because that wasn't like a booking thing more so than it was just we don't want to see this person, but also that show did really well drawing wise, so cry about
Jeff's
it.
a star, so there you go.
Yeah, we're gonna see it a lot more in the upcoming years on this show at least.
And for some reason they never listen to them. Why don't you listen to your audience? Are literally telling you what you want. Like, where else in the world in entertainment will you get your audience literally right there in front of you, tell you what they want, and you're like, no, you're wrong.
UFC.
Well, that's not a real company that we respect.
Yeah, it's not a real sport.
This promo, for as much as Jarrett could get out, they constantly interrupted him. He did, to his credit, at least try and play into it. Like, he responded to the crowd a couple times, but that completely threw his promo off. He was doing the same old, like, I love the title, you suck, Nash, your knees are bad. He did threaten Mike Tenay, though, which brought back the 2003 babyface Mike Tenay story. So, there you go.
You said there you go, as if that wasn't a thing for you.
I think you are very happy about that, too. You were like, babyface Mike Tenay, they should do the match.
They should do the match. It'd be very
Never
funny.
mind Monty. Tenay should win the belt.
I feel like you would unironically love that.
You know what? You're not wrong.